Hi, and welcome back to the Digital Transformationists podcast. And on today's episode, we have the phenomenal Keb Mo with us to talk about the power of music and its ability to drive positive change and connection. Today's episode is brought to you by Workato.
So welcome, Keb Mo. We're delighted to have you. It's a real honor and a privilege to have a legend like you join us. Obviously, you know Garrett, you guys go back and have some history. Thanks for joining us on this podcast.
Yeah, Garrett, he's my brother. My twin brother.
An American original.
That's right. There's only one G Love. Thank God.
That's what Keb called me the first time we met. He goes, G Love, an American original.
Oh, that's so cool.
Well, Keb, it's great to see you, and it's great to also see in the background a studio where I was so lucky to be invited to join you for many sessions over the past couple of years.
That was a highlight of last year, man. That was just, I tell you, that was so much fun.
Man, I learned so much from working with you, and so much about music, and so much about the history of the blues, so much about recording, songwriting, and it was. I always say it was a master class of music. So thank you.
Oh man, thank you. I've been itching to work with you for years. I never got the opportunity. Nobody would let us. I don't have any. I got in the world. I got no producer cred. When you was Keb Mo should work with you, and they go like, "Who?"
So how'd you make that connection? So how did you make that connection?
How do we make the connection? Making the record?
Yeah.
G called me and said, "Hey man, let's work. Let's do a record." I'm gonna clean my glasses. He said, and I was like, "Okay, yeah." Only been waiting about 25 years.
Well, I mean, we could just talk briefly about it, but it's a good story because, and I've talked about it a lot this year because I called Keb and I said, "Hey, Keb, would you?" Because we did a tour together, and then I said, "Hey, Keb, would you want to do a duet record?" He said, "Gee, I already did my duet record with Taj Mahal." I said, "Oh man," but he said, how about you come down here and I love to produce some tracks for you, which led to the record. And so Keb said, send me, and this is the first lesson, send me 5 songs of your most sincere songs that you feel most connected to. And I thought, well, I hope I feel connected and sincere about all my songs. So I sent him 5 songs, and then a week went by, I didn't hear anything, and then the second week went by, and I didn't hear anything, so I said, oh, shoot, I guess we're call Keb. Keb, did you get the songs? He just sent back, yep. And I'm like, oh, man. Damn, Keb. Well, what did you think? And Keb writes back, I think you better work with a songwriter. So that was how the session started, and it ended up with some of the greatest songs that I've ever recorded. So I was happy.
Just to be clear on the record, about the record, you don't need to work with a songwriter. You're a great songwriter.
Oh man, well,
you're brilliant, man. And I think that one song on that record, man, they're all great, but it's one of my favorite ones. The one I had nothing to do with.
She's the Rock.
I love that's a masterpiece.
So good.
Oh, thank you.
Masterpiece,
Well, hey, man. I was thinking we could kind of start with going back to 1993 when we first met, and it's an interesting part of your story and my story. And in 1993, you and I both signed to the same A&R guy. Cigar smoking, Jewish New York music. And if you couldn't imagine a more music industry guy like out of the playbook, and his name was Michael Kaplan. And can you just kind of tell us about how that you connected with Kaplan, how he discovered you, how he heard your music? And kind of, I think you had told me before that whole meeting, you were kind of like this was like the last stab or you felt like it might have been the last stab in the music industry?
Well, I had my last stab in the music industry way before I even met Michael Kaplan.
Okay.
This was called a desperate. It wasn't desperate at this point. This point, it was just, I love playing music. I'm going to keep playing in hell or high water, you know? And so I met John Porter, you know, through Taj, you know, Taj Mahal. And he shopped a record deal for me, you know, and everybody said no, because I was old. I was 41 years old, but no one knew it. I was 41, and it was like, what? This dude? And it was but Michael told me this later. He said, you know, we had passed first, you know, we passed on you. Then someone came and said, let's start the OK label back up. Let's do that. Do some blues. And they had a bunch of cassettes on the shelf, you know, that there's, well, let's see what we got. What do you got? So this was pulling this cassette on the shelf. Okay, that's good. Sign that. Sign that, sign that. I ended up in the pile of let's sign that.
Oh, wow.
Then already said no. Everybody had said no. Wow. But for me, I was in a mode of, okay, I was playing the clubs in LA. I'm just gonna, and I had made my own demo, which is my demo tape, was my release, my self-release of Keb Mo, AKA Keb Mo, on a cassette. and so I was selling those, and that was my demo tape to get in the door at Sony. But, you know, I had decided, okay, I'm going to try another stab at the music industry. After my big failed record on Chocolate City Records of Casablanca in 1980. Big flop, you know? And so I said, well, I don't want to hear a no. I know everybody's going to say no, because why would they say yes to me? So I said yes to myself. Right. And I really didn't want to go to record companies because I know they're going to say no. And I didn't want to hear no. I only wanted to hear yes. And one person that's giving me a yes was me. So I gave myself a yes. And that yes went out to the universe and came boom back around in a mysterious way through Michael Kaplan, and I got my yes.
Wow.
And when the call came, I just laughed. I was on the phone. I got the phone. I was laughing. I'm like, time to have some fun. Let's have some fun. It's going to flop, you know. Trying to make another record, you know, because they all flop. You know, and so I just had fun with it, and it didn't flop.
Yeah. So what was the first record, and then what was that record already recorded in a can when you got signed, and you just put it out, or did you go back in the studio then?
Well, I went back. I had a demo. Once I had the first song every morning. I had that one recorded, and I had about 8 songs on this cassette tape. Some were done in various forms and various kind of ways, but kind of piecemeal together. And so I went back in and we re-recorded those songs that were on that tape and added some more.
Wow. Yeah. So you mentioned you had this on a cassette tape. You know, a lot of what we're talking about is this technology and the digital transformation. How has the technology and digital transformation changed the music, and how have you kept up and adapted?
And wait, let me interject one thing in there. Did you ever were any of your records ever? I know they were released on cassette, CD, vinyl. Did you ever have something released on 8-track?
8-track?
Never had anything. Unfortunately, I wish I had something on 8-track. Yeah, that was the deal. I listened to a lot of 8-tracks though. Yeah, lots of 8-tracks.
But over your career, you know, things have advanced a lot. And I know, you know, Garrett mentioned to me that you're quite technical in the studio, and also, you know, you've adapted really well on the technology front. So what have you done there?
Well, I'm technical to a degree because I have to have enough, I have enough technical skills to get what I need done.
Okay.
To get the stuff far enough along, because sometimes the engineer is in my way of my creative process.
Yeah.
You know, so I can sit there and go, bing, 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 and just like, you know, without going like, okay, do this, do that. I just do it, you know. And when I need a skill for myself, I learned that. I still have a lot of holes in my technical thing, but I intuitively know the ones that I need.
Okay.
To get the job done.
Gotcha.
You know?
And what kind of resources do you use to learn these things?
To learn?
Yeah, you go on YouTube or something, or what are you doing?
No, the first time when Pro Tools started becoming popular in 1999, I think it was 99, around in there. I had an Atari computer, and I had Cubase sequencing program on it. It didn't do any audio; it just did sequencing.
Okay.
And I had that, so I knew I had to go digital. It was the last. I mean, that Atari was like, it was ancient in '99. It was the '80s thing, but I was still using it because I was like, well, I got to use it. So I went and bought one of those rolling 8-track boxes, and it sunk up with the Atari. So now I had digital, 8-track to digital, where I can record on. It sunk up with the Atari. So I've been kind of technical since the '80s.
So
really.
Cool.
Yeah, So with drum machines and sequencers and, all kind of MIDI cables all over the place, recording stuff. And so I got all that stuff. And when Pro Tools came and said, okay, this is a bigger learning curve. This is more expensive. This is the way everything's going. And I made the choice to go in Pro Tools. Now, by this time, I'm still on Sony. I'm 3 years in, 4 years in on the Sony deal. G-Love's doing good, We're all out there playing. G-Love's dressing way better than I was, but his suits were epic. You know what I mean? I gotta say. But so I took 20 grand and bought a computer, some monitors, a couple of mic pre's, speakers, the lowest level of Pro Tools, but everything all in. It cost me about $20,000 to get started. So when I had a teacher. I had a teacher named Mark Johnson, who was my engineer. He taught me. And another teacher I hired, I gave him some money to be on call for a month. I said, anytime I call you in a month, and I wrote him a check. I'm gonna call you, and you come over. And when I need you, you come over. Okay. It was a good check. I paid him too much, but I wanted him to. I understood how important was it for me to learn, and that when I called him, I wanted him to have his ass over there.
On the spot.
So I wrote him a big check. And it worked, and it paid off. It was a small price to pay for what was to come in terms of technology and what I would need to go forward with stuff.
But a continued investment in you. Yeah.
So in Sony, each time I got a record budget, I bought a little piece of gear. So all that stuff over there, every time I got a little extra money off the record deal, I'd buy a mic, I'd buy some gear, or I'd just keep going to the point where when the music business went in the toilet and the studios and all that stuff became really expensive. By that time I had my studio going,
Wow.
So I was kind of planning for my future, so to speak, because I wanted to stay in. Once I got in because of Michael Kaplan, who let G Love and both of us in the door. And there's only one guy that would have let either of us in the door. That was Kaplan. I guarantee you. Nobody was looking. I can't speak for maybe G. They're looking for G, but they were not looking for me.
Wow.
But I got lucky with the boomerang effect in the universe that came around, and I remain forever grateful for Michael and the opportunity to be here to do this.
Yeah,
we could have went the other way.
Sure. No, I'm a big fan. I'm a big believer. Also, throw it out in the universe and let it listen, and it'll come together for sure.
Yeah, leave it alone.
So cool.
Don't try to get in there and try to think you know anything. Just all metaphysical mind, Jedi mind trick they call it. And you don't have to be a Jedi to use the Jedi mind trick.
Right.
So, when I think about the blues and the recordings, and I think a lot of people are like this, when we listen back to Muddy Waters recording or old Robert Johnson recording or Big Bill Brunsey, they're all scratchy records.
Yeah.
And it's an old recorded sound and it has this real raw, thing to it. And kind of, I've always I've always liked my recordings to be like really raw and try to kind of capture that scratchy old vinyl thing. And you said to me, hey, G, I know that you like that old kind of trash can sound, but I'll let you say it. So what's your approach to making blues records today, and especially on a sonic side of things?
Well, I think the old records, starting with the records, old scratchy records from Charlie Patton and up into Muddy Waters, technology kept getting better and better. And if Charlie Patton could have recorded, you know, on some clean, analog, beautiful sounding stuff, he probably would have.
Right.
You know, I think the scratchiness is great because that's what was going on at the time. You know, it was real to the time. You know, it's like when you wear clothes, like, you know, certain suits, you know, you put the suit on, you're like, oh, that's the 40s.
Right.
Oh, that's the 50s. This is the, you know, then there's the 80s with the big, you know, shoulder pads. And, like, it's true to what's going on in the time. And it's like, so to try to imitate that now is kind of, to me, it's kind of, I would call it not genuine, you know? Now, if you're doing it for a movie to mimic a piece, you know, to like mimic a, you know, certain time period, okay. But I mean, I don't know why do that. I want that clean. And plus people are used to listening to like pop records. I listen to pop records. I don't listen to like, but I listen to, I want to hear that big old like wonking, you know, that people want to hear, you know, especially like those. And I think the late 70s, 80s when tape and people still had records and needles and big stereos. That's what I want to hear. That's the sound in my head. Drop it on a needle and go, whoa. But now, today, it's this earbuds. You know, no one's really going to, come on, man. G, let's listen to the latest G-Love record on my new stereo.
Why not, man? I hope so, man.
Yeah, but I mean, you want to be able to do that.
Right.
But people aren't doing that. I don't think, you know, they're not really doing that. So I think basically what I'm saying is that being true to yourself, true to the time, true to your heart, and the truth will set you free. Because the people out there know, they kind of know, you know, that old scratchy record thing. Not many people can really listen to it. It's like only like crazy people like us that can even listen to them old records.
Right.
You know, but your average Joe doesn't want to hear that. What's wrong with it? It's all messed up. I can't hear the words. Just the bass. You know? But we're listening for something else. We're listening for that raw thing, like when you listen to Charlie Patton and it's like, and you hear it, but you gotta listen through the mud and the crust to get it, you know. So you get that, then you put a big hi-fi, then you put the big mics and the big pre-round and stuff, and still make it raw. It's always gonna be raw, you know. It's raw is all right. I like raw, but I think the performance is where the rawness and where the truth is. Right. And however you get it, you know, whatever you got. If all you have is a computer, like my son is a hip hop artist, not hip hop. He would kill me if I said hip hop artist. He's music, you know, more today. He lives in LA. He's got a laptop. He got a laptop and samples and 2 speakers. And he's a drummer, and he can play whack drums for days. Wow. But he's using what his, you know, generation uses. Yeah. These what they have. All you need is a laptop. The samples are so good. Look at Billie Eilish, you know, and her brother doing those records in there. We did it in our bedroom. And they probably did it in their bedroom, but I'm sure they took that stuff out somewhere and mixed it to like.
It's you know, to that point, it was when we came down and worked on my last record, The Juice, which Keb produced. To me, it was a really interesting process. We started getting into the writing and the recording, and I felt like, wow, we're making a hip hop record. Basically, the goal was to make a contemporary blues record, but the process felt more like making a hip hop record. Yeah,
it's making a record. I'm gonna tell you a story about I've been stalking your ass ever since I met you. You perfectly clear, you know, because I just always, you know, your vibe is so thick and groovy. It's so you know, hip. And the first time I heard your record, your first record was a live record, you know? It's a live record done. You just did it right. So you were 19 years old. So I did the math on you, you know? I got my little pad on. Okay, G-Love, 19 years old.
Oh, wow.
Play guitar. Let's see. He's probably never been in a studio before. Got this record, and they caught you in your element. It's like they photographed you in the jungle, in your live environment, which was live on stage. So when it came time to making another record, you know, how do you get that again? You know, now they go, okay, now let's go in the studio and make another record. No, you don't do that with G Love. You know, you know, you have to go, because I've been in the record with you, and I know when you got in the studio with the record, being like the 21, 22-year-old G Love, didn't really fully understand that concept, you know. Yet there's all this brilliant material coming out of you. I, on the other hand, was born in LA, you know, and been going in the studio since I was 14 years old, in one stage or another, learning how to make records. So the whole time from 14 to 40, I was making records.
Wow.
You know, in some shape or another, going up that thing. So I know kind of like the process of a lot of stuff, because I've done it so much. And like Kaplan, when he they thought I was green when they signed me. You know, I was far from green. you know.
You've been there. You've done that. Yeah.
way far from green.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I went in and so I know at some point, you know what I mean? And then I watched you grow and watched how you just along the way doing stuff, and I watched what was going on, and I watched what maybe could be better, you know, something like that. And I was just sitting back like this. One day, G Love's gonna call, we're gonna do a record. I couldn't call you and say do a record, because that'd be like more like, that's kind of like badgering you, you know? But the boomerang again came around, you know what I mean? And we got to do the record at the right time, and it all came together. And it's just a thing of beauty. I think it's just, I mean, and you're to your credit, you're still young, you know?
Well, on that point, Keb and I called Michael Kaplan when we were in the studio. We FaceTimed Michael, and I hadn't seen, you know, or heard from Michael, honestly, since the day we got dropped in October 2001.
Oh, wow.
And Michael said, we said, hey, Mike, what's up? And Michael goes, who's that next to you, Keb? And I was like, really, Mike? You don't recognize me? And he didn't. He had no freaking idea who I was. And then, you know, I go, it's G, man. It's G Love. He goes, oh, shit, you got old. I was like, man, you're an asshole, man.
He's just took one bird, not two. But Michael Kaplan is a real record guy. I mean, like, he's still in the game. All those guys that were in it for the money, you know, and for the glory are gone, you know. But the real record guys are still around, and Michael Kaplan's one of those guys.
So, actually, it was funny. Right before we got on the line, I got a text from John Tavius Willis.
Yeah,
who's another one of your proteges and your artist who you've produced and put his record out, right?
Yeah.
So I was going to kind of, I mean, you know, just talk about a little more production. I mean, and kind of production versus touring. Like, I mean, if you could just produce or just tour, would you do either? Or you like doing both? Or, you know, I know you've told me, like, well, what's your take on that? You know, production.
You know what I would do right now after COVID, during this period now?
Yeah.
What I would do now if I could, and this has given me a chance to work on. I've been working on a lot of projects now. I worked on, I wrote with Samantha Fish. Wrote with Joe Bonamassa for Eric Gales.
Wow.
I've been writing songs for my record. I've been working with the projects. I've been like, I just started hustling, you know, and then it's not hustling. I'm not calling people and going, say, hey, what's going on? You want to work together?
Yeah.
Just, you know, reaching out the olive branch to, like, you want to work, you know it's okay. But if I had my druthers about what I would do now, I would have a local gig, maybe somewhere one night a week in town.
Like,
and I would
Ryman?
just records home, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because actually we spoke in the beginning of this whole thing, and you said to me, gee, what have we been doing? Like, for the whole, like, last, you know, however many years on the road, like, running around, like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, running around everywhere. And I found out, running around, why am I running around everywhere? But we're hustling to take care of our families.
Yep.
You know, we're the breadwinners. We're men, you know. We are men. You know? So we're doing that. And so, but I am just, now this is a chance for me to maybe turn the curve. And producing records right now, if this was the 80s and I could produce records, I could probably make some coin. But now my producing records is my labor of love, because what those big budgets were in the 80s and 90s, most of it was spent on time, you know. And so right now, both G Love and I, and any artist, we all have more time than we have money, you know. So we make these records, and I think I try to make a record that sounds like a $300,000 record on a local budget.
And you've got the tech for it, right? I mean, that's what you're describing what the kids are doing these days. Low, high tech and high production values for, yeah. And
it's about time and attention to detail.
Yep.
On every level. Mm-hmm. That takes time. Mm-hmm. They got a saying down south, you know what I'm saying? If you can either have it fast, cheap, or good. Pick two. You can't get, you can't get all of them.
Fast and cheap.
It won't be good.
Good and cheap.
It's going to take some time, you know. Yeah.
So Keb, Garrett was bringing me up to speed on some things about the business you're running effectively. Very much a family business. Your wife's really involved. I know y'all did a duet together. But tell us about how you run this business with the family.
That's my wife's business.
Your wife's business? Nice.
She has a business. She has a label called Kind of Blue Music.
Okay.
Which we opened up for her to do that. But now she's kind of sitting back now. She likes, she got involved in the record business. She's going like, I don't know. She's got that, and her label actually brings in money. She says, I make a little money every month,
Nice.
So her company has an income, it's not, and I tell you, it ain't bad. She brings in, but I don't know. I just I don't think about business. Business kind of clouds it kind of puts mud in the purity of my creativity in a sense, for me. Mm-hmm. I kind of go with the fact, because I've always if you chase money, I don't chase the money, I chase the music. I chase the authenticity. And if I get that right, every time I get that right, I never have to worry about the money. Even if it doesn't come from the money, from what I'm working on. Right. It's like the principle of that. All the effort I put in is there. Now, getting my wife, because I would produce a lot more records, but if I had to just produce records right now, I'd go broke. Because there's not enough money. And when after month 3, and I'm in here doing, my wife's going, "What are you doing? How much money are you making on that?" It's got to be right. It ain't about that. So you work on the front end and then the back, but it
takes care of itself.
This COVID thing is like that. So, but a lot of people don't understand that. The thing of working for excellence and really having faith. And faith is interactive. It's not like sitting around hoping and wishing with your hands together. Mm-hmm. Faith is doing, and knowing that effort is going to create some results. Mm-hmm. It's just physics. Effort will create something. It's impossible for it not to. It goes, what goes around comes around. Mm-hmm. No good deed goes unpunished. Punishment doesn't have to be a bad thing, Yeah. So I think the fact that the G and I still get to do this, because a lot of people that started when we started don't get to do it anymore. They even got big. They became big old artists, but still in all, I get to still do this. And at the end of the day, that's what I love, doing this,
do it like, so just following up on it, like doing this, like you talk a lot about the process. And to me, when we sat down to make my record, you know, say, what's your goal? And I said, well, you know, I want to get a Grammy. I want to get it nominated for a Grammy. And, you know, I know you're a very humble man, and you've won a lot of accolades throughout your career, including 5 Grammys and a lot of awards. And it's been amazing to see. And, you know, I said to you, like, you know, can you help me with this process? And, you know, so kind of, I mean, you just kind of touched on it, but what are some of your processes, you know?
Well, first of all, I would never go for a Grammy, but at the same time, you have to understand, for me, I got, how old am I now? 68. I got 50 years worth of like music business churning in the back of my head of experiences with, like, you know, really fine producers, really good musicians, good mixers, you know, good technical people. It's churning back there. And when I think about the Grammys, you know, I think about moments. One of my favorite moments on the Grammys is Bonnie Raitt in 1984. Was it 94, 84, something? What year was that? 86 or something, where she won 4 Grammys, you know, after years of kind of going pretty much, you know, middle, you know, under the radar, kind of like, and all of a sudden, but everyone knew her. She's always really famous among artists. And her moment came. And when I look at that, listen to that Nick of Time record, listen to that record that was produced by Don Was.
Oh.
That was an excellent record, you know? And she had, up to that point, when that record came out and she got those Grammys, she had only sold like about 60,000 records, which was nothing.
Ever, like in all of her records?
No, just in that record.
Oh, okay.
Nick of Time has sold about 60,000 records, which in terms of, you know, those standards in the 80s and 90s, that was not great.
Right.
That was bad. That was dropped.
Yeah. So she got those 4 Grammys in front of everybody, and all of a sudden everybody knew who Bonnie Raitt was, and she took off and became the Bonnie Raitt that she deserved to be, you know, and based on her efforts and all of her stuff and all of her like philanthropy and social, you know, outcries for things like that, all of her, who she is as a person overrode her musical prowess, you know, even then. So Bonnie became an iconic legend in that moment. So when I see the Grammys, I'm always inspired by the Grammys. And for years, what I would do, I watch the Grammys every year, but every year I watch the Grammys with my guitar in my hand. I'm sitting there watching them. I'm being inspired by the Grammys. So when I think of a Grammy now, I don't think about my Grammy. I think about who might be watching me get a Grammy, you know, and how might that inspire somebody else to, you know what I mean? I was inspired by the Grammys. I was inspired to really try to be good at what I do, songwriting-wise, production-wise, as a player. And I watched who won, and I don't know. It's for inspiration. And every Grammy I get, especially this last one, I'm shocked when I get it. I'm shocked to be nominated. It's just nominated. I'm like, whoa. And then the Americana Grammy, I was like, really? I was like, I thought I was in a horror movie or something when I got that Grammy, because it was like, they called my name. It was like, what the? You know, it took me about 3 seconds to hear my name. They said Keb Mo, and I just went, oh shit, that was my name. and dealt with that, man. But you know, it's like the songs, every detail. A Grammy is like putting on an Armani suit or something like that. I mean, it's like it's like everything. What's the difference between an Armani suit and a Jaci suit?
$1,000?
and attention to detail. You know, attention to detail. On your record, we did a lot of attention to detail. We didn't compromise mixes. We didn't go, okay, oh, that's good enough. We never did that, you know. And so that's kind of how you do it. And that's why I saw a record like Rumors by Fleetwood Mac is such an iconic record, because they didn't leave anything to chance. And that record in the 70s cost $2 million to make.
Oh my God.
Time. They spent the time. They almost wore the tape out going around, you know? The tape had holes in it. It had been played so much, you know?
Wow.
And so that's what you do. You just, and I don't know, successful people do what people who aren't successful are not willing to do, you know? No, they say, oh, that's good enough. Let's try one more time. One more, let's do one more, you know? And that accumulative kind of thing comes, and then next thing you know, you're walking up to get a Grammy and other things, and you might even get a check, who knows? You might get asked to do it again.
So where do you, so
you might meet a chick, who knows? I don't know.
You mentioned, taking that step further, going farther than perhaps other people are willing to. There's great talent out in the world, but oftentimes they lack work ethic. And obviously, these three fellows right now talking, I think we've got that hustle in common. Where do you get that drive and that motivation and that work ethic?
From stories. Like, there's a great story about Quincy Jones is one of my is like a producer, and I listen to his stuff a lot. And Steely Dan, Quincy Jones, those are, for making records, for soul, I'm gonna go to Howlin' Wolf. You know what I mean? For making great records, I'm gonna go to Quincy Jones and Steely Dan. Because those records are flawless. And so that's the kind of quality I wanna have. And I still wanna be able to get the rawness of the blues, but not compromise the production value. And when you put that record on, it's just like butter to your ears, Just, you know what I mean? It's just gotta be,
Yeah,
like
it takes you over.
Yeah, it does. And oftentimes, it's just, it's truth too, man. I think and the audience, the public is very smart. The collective public, you know what I mean? When it comes to music and art, you can't really fool them. You might be able to fool them for one time and one go around or, hype something up. But if it's not really great, people will forget about it. But then you have your Eva Cassidys of the world. Eva Cassidy, some of the artists that was turned down by every label, put out her records independently. And when people heard her, how many people would say, look, check this out. When I heard Eva Cassidy, I'm like, who is that? And I went, holy moly. And no, there was no big thing behind her, but she is a legend. She is iconic. Because what she did is so spectacular. There's that one guy that believed in her, the guitar player that recorded her records and did his own and didn't sound expensive. But she was the bee's knees, man. And thank goodness he got her recorded before she passed. Otherwise we would never have heard that.
Wow.
So that's the kind of things I take my cues from.
Yeah.
Paul Simon going to South Africa and playing and
immersing in it. Yeah.
Just going down there and taking a shot. I'm gonna go down there and make this record in South Africa.
Wow.
And just I don't know, it's just have fun. Be true to yourself and make your music, work as hard as you can, and whatever you don't have, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, you're speaking from a musician's perspective, but it just applies so well in any space that you're in, In our world, you work hard, apply that talent, and good things happen. So you mentioned, the public knows, the public is smart, at large, and, you're old enough to have lived through some things, civil rights wise. And now we're at a point in history where it's, not much has changed really, but the public, like as you said, remembers. What are your thoughts on? What are your thoughts on where we're at and where we're headed and just the movement at the moment?
Well, I don't know I think it's progress. It might look like regression, you know, but I have a feeling there's a lot of lights in there. Progress. I think there's more in there than we even know to see about, especially like the George Floyds of the world and that whole movement, and people getting in the streets. And I'm reading a book right now that's recommended to me by a friend called "Killing the Black Body," you know, and it's about really the history of African Americans in America and the slave trade, and in detail, you know, interviews of ex-slaves back in the people who actually were slaves, and talking about the mental, physical, and spiritual atrocity that was, you know, put on African Americans. But that same thing happens around the world for all kinds of different kinds of people.
True.
You know, but that atrocity, especially the one of taking away your history, taking your name, taking your history. I'm a man without a name. You know what I mean? Keb Mo, that ain't my name.
Right.
You know, that's the slave owner named Mitch Moore. That's his name.
Right.
You know, but my real name is probably more like Keb Mo. You know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's the realness of me trying to come out. But legally, I mean, in terms of legally, whatever, my name is Kevin Roosevelt Moore.
Right.
But that's not my name. I don't even know what my name is, but I know deeper inside.
Right.
The fact that I don't have a name, I have to go find that. And I think we're all struggling as people, especially African Americans, to find ourselves. You know, because when you take the name, take the history, you take your roots away. It's like you're just wavering around. Like you're going to burn the roots out on the tree. That's the first one that falls in the wind. Wind comes by, that tree just falls over because it's got rotten roots. You know, so you got to get in our roots. It's very easy to kind of, you know. But you know, I just know I got roots. I don't know what they are, but I know I have deep roots. It's going somewhere. And whenever people don't like me, I could give a fuck about who don't like me. You know, who likes me. I got enough people to like, all you need is a few people in your neighborhood to like me. As long as your people in your neighborhood don't kill you. Everybody out there talking about like, oh, they won't do this for me. They don't want me. Like, so fucking what? You know? I got a few people that like me and they like me and they're very diverse. It's a very diverse crowd I run with. And my world's all right. So I know that it's possible for that to spread around. Yeah. And I think there's way more of that than the other.
Well, can you talk a bit about protest songs? Because I know that, you know, you've I don't know if you call them protest songs, but you know, some of your most recent songs, Put a Woman in Charge, Don't Throw It Away off the Oklahoma record, and The Juice, the title track from my record, which we co-wrote together, which to me is like the greatest song I've ever had the opportunity to sing, and feels so important to me to sing. Yeah, can you just talk a little bit about that, about writing these type of songs now?
To me, protest is not the word that I like to use about an injustice. Like I got a song on my last record called "This Is My Home," you know, where I talk about immigration. You know, and it was inspired. It's inspired by those people that came to the border of our country. You know,
Lupe and Muhammad.
Yeah, Lupe Muhammad. You know, that came to the border seeking refuge. You know, just like people came, you know, to Ellis Island. You know, looking for, you know, from Europe. You know, seeking refuge in the United States. And those people walked, and we knew it. They walked from Central America through Mexico to get there, you know, and make it to the border. And America took their children. You know, it's like, fuck you. You know, that's, you know, so rather than go like, start burning stuff down, I just say, well, I'm just going to tell you this story. So the first story is Lupe. You know, she's a hardworking girl. You know, talk about Lupe. She's, you know, She just wants to. She sends money back home to her grandma and stuff, and she's probably making some shit job, working slightly under minimum wage, and happy to be doing it. And is probably the best employee at the place, you know. Then there's Muhammad, you know, who comes in and, you know, everybody looks at him like a terrorist, you know, and he's just a guy that happens to be, he's Middle Eastern, and he's trying to get away from some shit too, you know. Right. And he came here like, you know, people judge him. So I lose a lot, like, you know, people got in this taxi cab, people getting, you know, when people got mean, he didn't get mad, you know. Mm-hmm. And he said, this is, I'm coming here because this is a lot better than where I came from. I'll take this, you know. Right. And then he goes along, then there's la-di-da-da-da-da-da. So I try to just shed light. I shed light, you know, on the situation and let people make their own call on it. Mm-hmm. Then Lupe and Muhammad getting married and, you know, and raising their kids and teaching them their history. And that's not the process, you know, teaching them where they came from, where they are now, where they came from, the Latin side, the Middle Eastern side, and embracing that. And they're gonna grow up strong, and they're gonna grow up knowing who they are. They're gonna be great people, you know? Then I go, so I just tell a story, you know, the story tells everything. And it's hard for me to even sing. Sometimes when I get to the voice about like my people came from Africa. Yeah. I kind of go like, I go like, but I sing it because it's very important. I go, my people came here from Africa, from North and South America. And the journey was long. And you have to say shit. You know, you say the journey was long. You can just see the slaves lined up in the bottom of a slave ship, chained, you know, puking, seasick, you know, being brought out, some of them jumping off you know, just one little thing, you know, just say that. The journey was long, you know, and I say, so I say to anyone in that song, I basically say, and anyone here that thinks I don't belong here because you took my home, you took my history, you took my name, you took my dignity, you know, and I'm still here, and this is my fucking home. Mm-hmm. You know, you brought me here, fuck you. You brought me here. You know what I mean? In a nice way, you know what I mean? But that's what's under it. And it's just saying like, you know, this is where I live. I'm gonna make the best of it. I'm not mad at you. As a matter of fact, thank you. You know, so my people came here, I earned it. My people earned it for me, and I'm earning it every day and hope my kids earn it. So yeah. I'm gonna take the good with the bad and say. So I like to do it like that and not get up in people's face because everybody knows, you know, people know, you know, and what happened. And then like in the song Oklahoma, and you remind me what a real protest record it is, but I just shed light. I talk about this. And over on Greenwood, Archer and Pine, you know, those are not just 3 streets, you know. That's the whole. That was Tulsa. You know? Yeah, Tulsa Massacre. Mm. Over on Greenwood, Archer and Pine lives in an elevated state of mind, you know. Mm. You know, so keep on reaching for the stars, guys. So I say that like, okay, that happened. Let's move on, you know. Keep them, because when they go low, we go high. You know, quote Michelle Obama. And move on. You know, so rather than just to grovel on it and just, you know, I talk about the Native American, Oklahoma, you know, Chickasaws and outlaws, rodeo, and, you know, just all. There's a chant in there from Oklahoma University, like, you know, like, OKLOHL, and like, you know, everything is going our way. It's about Oklahoma. It's about America. Mm. And the Tulsa line is about those things happen in America, and they happen all over the world. Right. So to get angry about it, you know, I just, you know, I'm not going to go into a race battle with anyone because I can't change it in terms of history, long history, hundreds, thousands of years. And I might be on the planet. If I'm lucky, I might be 100 years. That's a blip in history. You know? Yeah, a stitch in time. Yeah, you know. So while I'm here to be trying to change all of human nature, fuck that. I'm gonna like just really revel in life and revel in what I can do to be a part of the. Yeah, but to that end, I think you deserve more credit because you're highly influential and you're such a positive person, and your music speaks to all of us.
So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Underneath, I'm a thug. I'm not all that niceness. I'm a thug. Don't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted.
No, I'm a thug. A thug for love.
A thug for love? And genuine, no less. So, social injustice and environmentalism are inextricably linked.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know, and I know that you've got a song, "Don't Throw It Away," or "Don't Throw It Away." Yeah. And there's an element of social justice and impacts to the marginalized, and we're seeing it right now as well, right?
Yeah.
This COVID is an environmental change factor, and the people taking the brunt are Mexicans, Hispanics, Blacks. What has inspired you on the environmental side?
Well, I'm kind of a fragile, very easily influenced guy. I'm something like this. Like I take my cues from the world. And on plastics, you know, when I'm made aware of something, like I chose that battle to be a part of the plastics pollutions, you know, coalition. But I haven't seen a test kit for COVID, but I imagine there was some plastic involved. There's probably some plastic involved with it.
Definitely.
You know.
Yeah.
So let's make 1 million tests of COVID. You know, plastic is a big issue, huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, climate change and this, and we're driven by money. You know, and in the song, like, you know, I talk about wrote it with Colin Linden. We wrote together, and I said, it starts out, Leo B had a big idea. You know, Leo Bakelin, Belgian guy that you know, something that would last for a million years.
Yeah.
But one day we would all, you know, and so it's like I didn't demonize Leo. I didn't demonize anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got a call from Leo Bakelin's great granddaughter.
Really?
I had an email from her, and she thanked me for not demonizing her great grandfather.
Wow.
Well, I mean, plastic has a lot of great use cases, right? I mean,
yeah.
But it's just the disposable and just throwaway mentality of it. Definitely, it's just abused and detrimental.
Yeah, thinking about the consequence. Whenever we have a big invention, there's always the push to monetize it.
Sure.
You know, and then when we find out that, oh, maybe we might have messed up, maybe we should have rethought about those gasoline engines.
It's too late.
You know, like my friend Rand said, that we were out there talking, he said, you know, you can't unring the bell.
That's right.
You know,
Yep.
once it's gone, the horse left the stable. It's hard to go find that horse and get him back in there. It's free.
It's true.
So, you know, there's a lot of these problems that we have are long range problems. We've been talking about the environment since the 60s, since I can remember, like the effect of oil and pollution and all kind of things. But you know, you grow up and all of a sudden you got to make a living, and then you got time to think about it. I mean, records made of plastic, you know, CDs, like streaming is actually probably good. I said, well, that's good. No more plastic. Then people say, well, what about this? Well, you know how much power it takes on the grid to run all those drives that drive all this? It's like a big snowball of technology and stuff that's, ooh, man, it's like, well, it's a big mess. It's a really big mess.
Right.
So,
and you just can't opt out of it all that well, right? It's bigger than you.
You got to do what you can. I do what I can.
Yep.
And like, you know, I look at what's the Tesla guy's name? What's his name?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Okay. He invents the Tesla and he does battery technology. Yay. But then he turns around and goes like, let's go to space, you know, and let's make some big rockets and figure out how to go find a new planet.
How about we take care of this one?
Like,
yeah.
It's just so ingrained. It's like, Tesla, yeah, good, but I don't know. That whole find a new planet, maybe this might be one of those planets that we found.
Well,
we might be on it right now.
The thing that bothers me is that they want to terraform Mars. Well, Mars is what we don't want the Earth to look like. Mars is why we would have to live here. Let's just protect this one. You know, like let's stay put and take care of it. But
yeah, you know, how about taking care of this? You know what I mean? It's like I got my house here and I tear it up. I ruin the whole thing, tear the house down, and then, ruin all the land and then I move, and just leave it like that. I'm going to move somewhere else. Well, it'll heal itself, but man, it's just, I don't know. We just don't think things through. We want this so much. We want this.
Yeah, too short-sighted.
But you only need so much of that.
Yeah. Well, it's a common theme in a lot of the conversations Garrett and I've had with some of our other guests, where there's these elements of leadership, elements of looking beyond the next quarter, and making those numbers. And it's been such a pleasure catching up with you, Keb, and learning from you on this call, on this visit. We have a handful of little quick questions for you. All right, it's just kind of not yes or no, but one or another. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate talking to you too. Just so you know.
Oh, thank you.
I could talk about this all day. This is such a great.
Well, let's do it again. We can do it again.
What you got?
Hey, Keb, before the question, that could be a good song. You can't unring the bell.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah.
It sure is. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Okay.
Baby's got sauce or cold beverage?
Oh, baby got sauce.
All right. and some of those we know the answers to because you actually talked about them. Howlin' Wolf or Muddy Waters?
Howlin' Wolf.
OK Records or Chess Records?
Chess.
I gotta give a lot of credit.
I knew you were gonna say
that. and these good ones are G's, by the way. He knows you really well. Disco or funk?
Funk.
Takeout or cook at home?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Cooking home.
Cool. Tour life or home life?
Home life.
Love to win or hate to lose?
Everybody should win.
All right. Paper or plastic?
Appropriate amounts of both.
Okay.
Moderation. I want to say paper now, but that's a whole thing too. There's trees, then there's
yeah. Well, there's renewable forests.
Paper or plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paper, at least it goes, paper.
It biodegrades.
I'll commit to paper.
Sounds good. I like it. Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Okay. And Vans or some old Chucks Converse?
Chucks.
All right. Cool. Awesome. This was a lot of fun. Keb Mo, thank you. Garrett, always thank you, man. Having such a great time doing these with you.
Hey, man, this is a blast.
Thanks so much, Keb, man. Wow.
I love this, man.
Well, let's do it again. I'm sure we can make space for it.
Today's episode is brought to you by Workato. Workato is the operating system for today's fast-moving business. Recognized as a leader by Gartner and Forrester, it is the only intelligent automation platform that enables both businesses and IT to integrate their apps and automate even the most mission-critical workflows without compromising security and governance. Workato is trusted by over 6,000 of the world's top brands and fastest-growing innovators. For more information, visit workato.com. Victor Vargas is our art director and engineer, and I'm Katie Thomas. I produce the Digital Transformationists podcast for Principio Consulting. Principio Consulting is a full-service digital transformation consulting firm helping businesses large and small build and scale for what's next with the Atlassian product suite and best-in-class frameworks. More about Principio Consulting at principio.com/podcast.